There might not be a more exciting team in the NBA right now and for the long term than the San Antonio Spurs. They just beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, who are getting 2016 Warriors comparisons all year long 3 times in 2 weeks. They beat them in that electric NBA Cup semifinal matchup in Vegas. They beat them on December 23rd in blowout fashion in San Antonio. But you know what they haven't done yet? Beat OKC in OKC, and they did that on Christmas Day. And over the last 2 weeks, they've been the best team in the NBA in terms of net rating. They're the number 5 offensive team, number 4 forward difference team, the best team in terms of point differential. And this is all coinciding with Wemby coming back from that calf strain, but still being on a minutes restriction. He was on a minutes restriction in the NBA Cup tournament, in which they lost in the finale to the New York Knicks. And he's basically been coming off the bench over the last few games as well. Could Wemby win 6th Man of the Year this season? I'm just kidding. But how can you not be excited about this Spurs team? A team that wasn't good throughout the early part of the 2020s. They get Devin Vassell in the lottery in 2020. They select Joshua Primo in the lottery in 2021. They selected Jeremy Shoham in the top 10 in 2022. But then this is where they really hit their stride drafting. They got lucky in the 2023 lottery. They selected maybe the most generational prospect we've seen since LeBron James in Victor Wembanyama, number 1 in 2023. In 2024, in a weak draft, they get the 4th overall pick in this draft, and they select Stephon Castle out of UConn. They also had the 8th overall pick in this draft from the Jakob Poeltl trade with the Raptors. They traded this for a future first-round Minnesota Timberwolves pick. The Timberwolves selected Rob Dillingham. I wonder if they would like to have that one back. And then the Spurs used that to acquire De'Aaron Fox at the 2025 deadline. Fox kind of hurt his trade value in Sacramento by saying, I'm not signing an extension. Sacramento loses their leverage, and they traded him for maybe 40 cents on the dollar. All it cost San Antonio was Zach Collins, Trey Jones, and matching salary, and 3 B-tier first-round picks to acquire De'Aaron Fox, a top 10 point guard in the game. And then they get lucky on the night of the 2025 draft lottery. They get the 2nd overall pick to select Dylan Harper. So now they have one of the fastest point guards in the NBA in De'Aaron Fox, one of the strongest point guards in the NBA in Stephon Castle, and one of the more creative point guards in the NBA in Dylan Harper. And this team matches up against OKC so well. We know that the OKC Thunder are in a tier of their own, at least we thought, until these last few games where San Antonio has been able to expose OKC, where they have this 7'5" center, Victor Wembanyama. Jalen Williams said it best, who's very tough to guard, and Wemby will get the ball at the high post or on the perimeter. OKC runs a bunch of multi-guard lineups. They're going to blitz Wemby and use his 7'5" frame to see over everybody to find an athletic Devin Vassell in the corner, or Castle, Harper, or Fox, who are great at attacking closeouts and get that first step because they have separation, and the way that their momentum is moving, they're able to use that to their advantage and have that excess acceleration to get by these guys. And even Harrison Barnes, who is not an athletic player whatsoever, but is so crafty as a driver, can use a Euro step or a pump fake or a decel to get an easy layup from that pass from Wemby, who just has so much gravity on the basketball court, on the offensive end of the floor, given that he's 7'5", he could shoot almost 40% from 3, and if he has a full head of steam towards the rim, you do not want to be in front of him. And then you also have him with so much gravity defensively in kind of the opposite way. Nobody wants to be near Wemby defensively. His blocks have actually gone down this year because nobody is trying to test him at the rim, because you're going to get blocked. And Wemby's only averaging 3 blocks a night. Yes, still leading the league by a lot, and that is down from 3.8 blocks last year and 3.6 in his rookie year, because yeah, opposing offenses know we are not attacking you at the rim whatsoever. We need to beat this team on the perimeter, and the Thunder sometimes can't really do that. They have some very inconsistent 3-point shooters who are out there. The defensive first guys like Alex Caruso and Wu Dort have not been good shooters this year and have been streaky shooters at times in their career. Aaron Wiggins has kind of been up and down with his 3-point shot, and then you're relying a ton on Jalen Williams, who just came back from that wrist injury. You have Chet Holmgren as a 3-point shooter out there. Shea has been incredible this year. We know that 3-point shooting wise. Now I wonder what OKC is thinking. They're like, we cannot beat these guys right now, but we could just beat everybody else. They were 21-1 at one point. They lose to San Antonio in that NBA Cup semifinal matchup. Then they lose to Minnesota in a great game a couple Fridays ago. And then they get blown out by the San Antonio Spurs right before the Christmas Day game. And then they also kind of get blown out in a way on Christmas Day at home as well. I wonder if that was a wake-up call for OKC. And it's so tough to kind of figure out where San Antonio is going to go, because San Antonio is 23-7. They're the 2 seed in the West. I mean, they're only 2.5 games back of the Thunder. This could be the 1 seed in the West at one point this year. And San Antonio also has so many assets. This is the cleanest their cap sheet may ever look. Wemby is still making just $13 million a year under his rookie deal. The moment he is extension eligible this offseason, he is signing that 5-year rookie max extension with its escalators, but this year he's making 13.3 million, and next year 16.8 million. The player of Wemby's caliber should be making 35% of your cap space. Next year, he's only going to be making 10.2 of their cap space percentage-wise. Dylan Harper is going to be making roughly 8% of the team's total cap space throughout the next 4 seasons, including this one. I was a little worried about Stephon Castle's efficiency going into year number 2 and how are his touches going to look with De'Aaron Fox and Dylan Harper into the fold. He's been incredible this year. He's been the best player from this 2024 draft class by a decent margin, and he's also making up about 6% of this team's total cap space for the next 3 years, including this one. You have Devin Vassell making roughly 15% of the team's total cap space. You have Harrison Barnes expiring 19 million at the end of the year. You have Keldon Johnson 17.5 million this year and next year. And the only massive contract they have on their books right now is De'Aaron Fox, who's going to be making roughly $50 million for the next couple seasons. That will go up to 57.5 million in 2029 and then 61 million in 2030. But I think De'Aaron Fox has looked great with Wemby this year. A lot of people were kind of skeptical about that contract extension from San Antonio in the offseason, and that was one of my takes in the offseason that had some backlash, where I said that De'Aaron Fox, I think, is a top 10 point guard in this league, or at least will play like a top 10 point guard in 2025, and I think he's looked like a top 10 point guard this year. 22 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, shooting 48% from the field, 39% from 3, and 80% from the free throw line, and he was even injured at the start of the year as well, so this is only in 22 games, but the 3-point shot at 39% on 6 attempts a night is incredible, and that's what you need around Wemby. And there's going to be some games where Castle is not knocking down his threes because he's not been a good 3-point shooter this year, but he's being so efficient around the rim. There's going to be games where Fox isn't hitting his threes, and same with Dylan Harper. These guys aren't super elite 3-point shooters, but man, they can attack the rim with ease, and that paint is going to be opened up because Wemby is going to draw double teams in the corner. He's going to draw double teams on the perimeter, or that rim protector, like an Isaiah Hartenstein or Chet Holmgren, is going to have to be right up against Wemby on the perimeter. You can't give him any space because he, 1, can shoot over anybody given his 7'5" frame, and 2, he's a great 3-point shooter, which allows Dylan Harper to have no rim protection at the rim, and he's going to finish one-on-one with any guard around him and guarding him because he did it at Rutgers, he did it at high school, he's doing it in the NBA so far. Dylan Harper, I think, would be averaging 20 points per game right now if he got drafted by the Washington Wizards or Utah Jazz. And as a Knicks fan, thank God this is all going on in the Western Conference right now, because the Spurs would be clearly the best team in the East. You have the Denver Nuggets, the Spurs, the Rockets, the Thunder, the Timberwolves, all being super competitive in the Western Conference, even the LA Lakers as well. If you're looking at the top 5 players in the NBA, you have Shea, Jokic, Giannis in the East on a bad Bucks team, and then you have Wemby and Ant and those guys in the West. If I'm Giannis and I'm getting traded, I'm demanding a team to the Eastern Conference. I don't want to go out there in the West, and I just wonder where San Antonio is going to go from here as well. They did move on from some of their draft capital over the last year in that De'Aaron Fox trade, but they still own a swap this year with Atlanta, and the Atlanta Hawks have been slightly disappointing in the year 2026. So right now, that's actually netting the San Antonio Spurs the 14th overall pick in this draft. And guess what? They own Atlanta's 2027 first-round pick as well, and we have no idea where Trae Young is going in a year from now. The Spurs also own a swap with Boston in 2028 from the Derek White trade, and they also own a Dallas swap in 2030, helping facilitate a Grant Williams sign-and trade a couple years ago. And what blows my mind, that San Antonio was able to keep Sacramento's unprotected 2031 swap. They helped facilitate the DeMar DeRozan sign-and trade in the 2024 offseason, which netted them one Harrison Barnes, who's been a great San Antonio Spur. But then they also got Sacramento's first-round pick, which I don't get why Sacramento didn't make that a deal breaker in the De'Aaron Fox trade. Why did you want that Minnesota Timberwolves 2031 first over your first-round pick? I don't know. I wasn't in those negotiations of the De'Aaron Fox trade, but I'm pretty sure, just based off what I've seen in the NBA, the Spurs would have done that trade, even if you asked for your swap back instead of that Minnesota first-round pick. Because who knows where some of these teams are going to look going forward, and maybe there's a chance this just becomes the new Thunder situation, and we have like 2 Thunder situations in the Western Conference where you have a team that's competing for an NBA Finals but can also get a top 5 pick. And right now the Spurs are pretty much top 10 in every main metric in this league: free throw rate, effective field goal percentage, points per possession, offensive rebound percentage, turnover percentage. They are turning into one of the best teams in the NBA. You can make an argument they are the best team in the NBA, and I'm super fascinated to see how they look over the next 40 or so games. Because yeah, Jeremy Show, who I mentioned earlier, hasn't really been in this rotation. They really like those athletic wings around Wemby and the guards in Champagny, in Devin Vassell and Keldon Johnson. And Harrison Barnes isn't as athletic as those guys, but he's so crafty and smart with the ball in his hands. He's a savvy veteran, so they could afford to have him out there. The Spurs have really good big man depth as well this season, with Bismack Biyombo being their 4th center, and then you have Kelly Olynyk as your 3rd center, a solid big man veteran, and then Luke Cornett, who they signed as their number 2 center as well, just feels like a great locker room guy as well. And overall this season, San Antonio is now the 4th team in terms of net rating, 6th in defensive rating, 6th in offensive rating, with a chunk of that being without Victor Wembanyama. But yeah, since Wemby returned, they've arguably been the best team in the NBA, and I wonder if they'll move Jeremy Showen. Do they look to get somebody that's under control going forward, just because Jeremy Showen could be a restricted free agent at the end of the year? They wouldn't move Harrison Barnes. He's been too important for them, but they will lose a $19 million contract to trade in the offseason. Would they think about moving Kelly Olynyk's $13.5 million as well? And oh yeah, they have Carter Bryant waiting in the wings, who's just a defensive menace who can't find time right now because they have so much talent on the perimeter. So yeah, that's gonna be for me. I hope you guys did enjoy this video, just talking about the San Antonio Spurs. I feel like they've deserved a whole video for themselves right now because of how good they've been over the last few weeks, beating the Thunder 3 times in 2 weeks, and how good their future looks right now. Because in 3 to 4 years from now, they're gonna have some big financial decisions to make, with Wemby getting paid, Fox getting paid, Castle and Harper will eventually get paid as well, and they're always gonna have to kind of navigate the second apron and try to make cost-cutting moves. But right now, their salary cap sheet looks so efficient and just so clean, with Wemby, Castle, and Harper being under these rookie deals at the moment. And you're never going to get Wemby this cheap ever again. Like, you know that he's going to get paid the max money in the 2028 season. But I could also just see Wemby, with his psychotic competitiveness, take like a pay cut one day where he's going to be making like $40 million a year, 25% of your cap space instead of 35% of your cap space, so the Spurs can go out and sign Cooper Flagg in the 2032 free agency class. So yeah, that's gonna be for me. Hope you guys did enjoy. Drop a thumbs up if you did. Hope you guys had a Merry Christmas. Subscribe if you are not already. Catch you on the next one. Peace.